Never gone off of this.
Hi, YouTubers.
The Wade and Carter Show is a paid programming and KHMC.
We're struggling. It's a Friday.
Now we're good.
Thank you. Way to phase it out.
We'll never forget 9/11. We'll talk NFL kickoff. Belarus.
You folks got to listen fast. We got a lot to talk about.
Coach Poole will join us, talk baseball, economic stimulus, and a whole lot more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
You know, that would really hurt. If you...
That's disrespectful. Your lack of professionalism.
I watched parts of True Lies the other night with Schwarzenegger.
Jamie Lee
Tom
Curtis.
Arnold's so good in that movie. And go.
How are you?
We're good.
Let's do this.
Fastest hour in radio. 69 to 84 or 64 to 89 today. 64 degrees outside right now. Going to be 89 for a high. Mostly sunny. No chance of rain. It's the last day with no chance of rain until next Friday, according to this. Every day henceforth will have rain.
Fourth hence?
I feel like Noah.
It's not that bad.
For everything you need, there's Deal and Feed. Trust us on that. Get down there and get everything you need, from pesticides to seeds to saddles, tack.
Yeah, now's the time. If you want to get
fencing
your
materials,
fencing, your mosquito repellent, mosquito killer.
They got it all. Trust us. Deal and Feed is the place to go. Lots to talk about today. Got to move quickly.
Yeah, but we don't want to move too quickly through this one.
Oh, no, not at all to 9/11.
No, it is 9/11. I remember where I was.
I do too.
There will be a memorial taking place in Victoria at Memorial Stadium at 7:45 prior to the memorial stair climb. And it will be live streamed on the Victoria Fire Department Facebook page. So
well done. Well done, City of Victoria.
Yep, thank you for doing that. I think it's great.
Joel Gomez called in the other day, and we talked about this climb.
One that he usually does in San Antonio in the Tower of the Americas, but because of COVID, that's not happening in as wide a effort as usual, but they've expanded into other areas in Memorial Stadium, thanks to BISD for accommodating and willing to host the local climbers.
Now, make no mistake, 9/11 was a senseless act of cowardly aggression. It led to some
2,977 died on that day.
412 first responders. As others ran from the scene, they ran headstrong into the fray.
And I've still, as many times as I've been to New York City, I have not been able to muster up the strength to go to the 9/11 memorial. Can't do it.
No, I've never. I've never been. Never been to New York City. Don't want to go right now.
No, well, I don't know that you can, but
I don't know.
But it's interesting. I got friends there that were all, yay, De Blasio for shutting us down to get past the COVID, and now they're all protesting to open back up because they're still shut down.
Well, what did you tell me on the way in that some president somewhere, Belarus, was offered money?
Lukashenko. Get to that one.
Lukashenko. See, like Ash knows these people. That's what gets me.
Close.
Close. Bill Lukashenko.
Alexander Lukashenko says the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank offered his country, $940 million US dollars for COVID relief aid if he would impose an extreme lockdown on his people.
Like, I mean, what is motivation? What are we doing there? Is that the IMF? Why do they want to lock down? I can see if the CDC, the World Health Organization, offered you money. Hey, we think it's best for everybody to shut down your economy, and we'll pay you so your people don't starve. But why does the International Monetary Fund want to bribe?
It's a good question.
Why would the
Where else have they done this in the background? Did they play a role in our state's shutdowns?
I don't know.
Did they play a role in other countries whose national governments, federal governments, have the ability to shut down their entire economy and not leave it up to states or provinces or the territories? Like New Zealand, that was a federal decision.
We actually study this stuff and have refrained in large part from voicing many opinions about the hows and whys of locking down, shutting down an economy. And yet, isn't it interesting how many people who don't have the sense to come in out of the rain? Well, Trump screwed everything up when he shut down the economy. They don't have any idea what they're talking about.
None.
It blows my mind that people then it becomes a partisan issue. You got Joe Biden talking about shutting down the economy. You got Joe Biden. Just yesterday, Ash, Joe Biden said America's down 4.7 million jobs from when Trump took office. No kidding? There's been this thing called a global pandemic. Unemployment went up. It's at 8% and change right now. We knew this. And then he wants
it was 3.5% prior to COVID, 3.6% prior to COVID.
Yeah, the best ever. And then he wants to climb on Barack Obama's coattails, and he says, well, when President Obama and I were in office, this was not the case. Biden, you were never in office, you tard. He was
never in the basement, apparently.
He went 3 years without you hearing a word. You never heard Joe Biden's name. The only thing
Except when he gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom or whatever that was, right. Remember?
The only thing I can tell you for sure that Joe Biden did was quid pro quo Ukraine.
Stayed out of the way for the most part.
That's all he did.
But I don't know, he's starting to take credit for things that have gone well.
Yeah, or spun to look well.
Yeah, or he's starting to make promises that he's gonna, and he's hopeful the American voters forget all the things that he was involved in, like the Trans-Pacific Partnership that sent a whole bunch of our industry to China, and now he's promising to bring those jobs back.
Right.
If you wouldn't have helped send them there in the first place, Joe.
Right. Joe is very pro-China. Make no mistake about it.
Here's the thing that people forget about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden went on Air Force Two with his dad to China while Joe was busy dancing and eating with the vice president of China at the time, who's now the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party, I believe. He was second in command then, right? Hunter was off doing his thing, meeting with people, getting his startup financial advising company $1.5 billion.
Hey, Dad, can I hitch a ride? I never talk to my son ever about his business.
A company that just happens to invest on behalf of Chinese companies into American companies that are ingrained in our defense industries.
Yeah.
Our telecommunications infrastructure, you name it. The Chinese government is now into these companies that are involved in the key critical components of our infrastructure as a nation.
Yep.
And you don't think Joe Biden's going to be somewhat sympathetic to the Communist Chinese Party if he's elected? You don't think he's going to somehow play favorites? You don't think that the tough rhetoric and talk and the reason that China hates us so much right now is because the president has tried to reverse all of the bad things that Obama and Biden did that seriously undermine this country? And Joe's just going to come in and, well, you gave my son $1.5 billion. I guess I can look past that one.
He's an idiot. Jeremy Pena says, good morning from Foul Furious. He's in Foul. It's on the way to Laredo.
James Kerr says he needs to take credit for Benghazi.
So when you're in San Antonio and they want you to take the Alamo Dome exit,
Yeah.
it says, please move to the right lane and take the Alamo Dome exit. Alamo Dome.
So.
There you go.
Chris Conrad says IMF's trying to promote the new world order of one government and one socialist economic system.
Right.
Randy Langston, good morning.
I don't see how if you take the idea of the people owning some of the means of production, but the government being in charge of everything, and you extrapolate that over the entire world, I don't see the incentive for anybody to do anything. I mean, I guess I just don't get it. What I think you would have, the second biggest economy on the planet would be the black market, where I still make stuff and I barter with you. You're raising corn and okra. I can make a little furniture. I make you a bench. You give me some corn. And I think that's how we would move forward as a world. I just don't believe that without competition, you have any type of viable economy long term.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, there really is no black market for alcohol anymore. That existed during Prohibition, right?
Right.
If you break it down that way, the illegal drug trade is a black market.
Yep.
You look at what's happened with cigarettes and tobacco as taxes have increased. I mean, trucks full of it happens. They get hijacked and their products stolen, so they can sell it on the black market.
BJ Nelson says voter registration was a big success. Thank you to everyone that helped yesterday. I saw Ms. Nelson, Bill Posey,
Kelly Fromme.
Yeah, the nice group of folks.
Got a chance to meet C.W.
Crystal was
Bean
out
yesterday.
there from Bomb Diggity. Great folks.
Yep,
and
it
was a good time.
Got a dozen people registered.
Yep. James Kerr said there's still plenty of real.
Yeah, but they're more.
moonshine.
That's for their own good now. They're not selling it like they used to.
There's Will Vincent,
Or Will,
better known now as Billy V.
But China's a huge black market. They've pirated. I mean, look at all the copyright infringement stuff that they're involved in, and the stealing of trademarks and printing of illegal product and then shipping it back over here.
They don't hide it.
No, not at all.
Dude, they've got.
Yeah, I don't know if you were living here back here yet, but I remember when the Goliath Market Days got raided, and they basically it wasn't surprisingly. They shut down, had to be in the early 2000s, somewhere in there. They shut down a whole bunch of booths for selling all the knockoff Tommy Hilfiger shirts,
Right.
Gucci bags.
Stuff.
I mean, all that stuff that you used to get on Harwin Street.
Right. Harwin used to be happening.
Yeah.
You know, there were even different levels of the layers of knockoffs. Some of the knockoffs were even a little bit better. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Randy Langston asking if we've talked about the wildfires yet. 2 vehicles from Texas or in Oregon throwing Molotov cocktails into fields. Many arrested for arson. Police saying it's not true. Media saying it's climate change. What's going on? I didn't hear that about
I haven't
vehicles.
heard anything about Texas vehicles. I know that there were like 200-something thousand acres on fire.
Southwest Oregon is burning up, but there's fires pretty much all along that whole I-5 corridor from the state line to Portland.
Well, it's an interstate highway. Things come off, brakes, those sparks, all of that kind of thing. And it's so dry, and the wind is just right to where, if you're building a fire and you blow on it, I mean, this is what's happening. The wind whips down that I-5 corridor, and you have huge fires.
I think we did talk about the idiot with their gender reveal party that had some sort of smoking incendiary device that kicked off another fire like the one a couple of years ago in Arizona.
Yeah.
So.
You want to, okay, we'll take a break. I hope Steve Kidder's in. We'll take a break, and I'll give you the
Texans.
straight up Texans, it is what it is, and I'll give it to you Texans fans so you can feel good about life. Allen's Record Service, folks, 578-6300. Allen's is the go-to tow-to. 578-6300. Little car, big rig, doesn't matter. Here to there, here to Atzenhofer. They'll drag your car where it needs to be. Actually, they don't drag anything anywhere. They have flatbeds. They put it up on there. They take extreme care of your vehicle. Not to mention, they secure the scene. If you have an accident, you have a fender bender, don't even get out of your car. Get your car off the road if you can, and dial 578-6300. Allen's will talk you through it.
Towing is such a misnomer nowadays.
Yeah.
It's such like a 1980s
Yeah, they
term,
don't
really.
tow. They transport.
Yeah.
They load it up carefully. I'll put it to you this way. My car is my baby. If it won't go, if there's only one person I'm calling to tow it. That's Allen's Record Service.
Only one I call as well.
VCS Companies, Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all part of the Hartman Communication empire. They do tremendous work. They do it right the first time. They stand by what they do. I had the guys come out yesterday. I have a 1080p exterior camera on the front of my house. It picks up the entire cul-de-sac. I can get a license plate at 60 yards.
Nice.
And they came by. It wasn't working right. Warranted it out. Wasn't them. They don't make the camera. The camera wasn't working right. They climbed up. They battled the Yellow Jackets, and they put the camera up. I was out there going, that's work comp. Don't blame me. That's work comp. No, they did a great job. Colby and Andrew came by. I don't know if they're listening this morning, but they did tremendous work. They knocked it down in a hurry, and the camera works perfectly. It's amazing. SCT Building Systems, we had Casey Help coming
You
yesterday.
stopped by yesterday on the way
So
to the
much more
gym.
enjoyable than had Clayton come. She's super nice. 5'6".
It's not that Clayton isn't,
No, wait, Clayton does what I'm saying.
but early in the morning, Casey's
Five-
a little more bubbly.
Yeah, 5'6", 8864.
Give him a call.
They will certainly take care of you. Whether you want a lean-to or a carport or a barn dominium,
Covered
you need to build an
patio.
airplane hangar, call them.
They could.
They can do it. Steel buildings.
That's what they do. They build them right.
Chesnick
They're not going to
Furniture
give you 4-inch purlins. They'll give you 8-inch purlins.
What Chesnick does is Chesnick and Love make your house a home. You just do better at Chesnick. Reach out to Bobby Leon and his family. 3 generations down there selling furniture right now, 50% off.
All furniture. Saw
All
Bobby the other
furniture.
day.
I want you to look at that view there from that VCS. Look at that.
That's pretty nice.
I mean, I can go right there and go, hey, I got the whole
Neighborhood. It's
cul-de-sac.
the whole enchilada.
Fantastic.
Is it that light out already? Or is that a
It is
screen
that
capture?
light. No, that's today.
Okay.
It's right now. That's
It's right
live. Look,
There's nothing going on here.
Flag,
The flag is
blowing,
waving. Yeah,
flag blowing in the neighbor's yard. How about that?
it's nice. It's a good picture.
Chesney Furniture Company, 116 West Juan Lynn, corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. For 100 years, folks. Think about it. 10 decades. 1/100 millionth of a trillion. They've been there. We just try to get the perspective
Yeah.
on a trillion.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's
They've been there, folks. Selling furniture, 50% off right now, celebrating their 100th anniversary.
So Jimmy Stewart's stimulus package didn't pass the Senate yesterday.
Well, Mitch McConnell.
Since you made that comparison,
Tell me he doesn't sound
that's
like
all I
Jimmy
hear when I hear
Stewart.
Mitch McConnell
Wow.
talking.
I'm Mitch McConnell.
Mostly
Unbelievable.
along party lines, but I mean, I don't know if that was a surprise that it wasn't going to pass. Had no
It
chance.
doesn't do enough.
That's what the Democrats were saying.
It doesn't do enough. So we will do nothing.
I still didn't get time to read it like I did read the original one quite a bit to see all the garbage in it. I would have liked to read the Senate one to see what all the garbage in that one was.
CW Bean points out that Biden's fitting right in with China's copyrights with his plagiarism copying. No kidding. We got a caller.
We do have a caller.
What the hell? On a Friday?
Morning. Hey, good morning.
JP Hull, folks. Texans rant? Tell me. You bet. You know what? Let me tell you, it means the world. And obviously, you and I are dear friends. You're one of my best friends. And
That's the way you view it.
it's, well, he could be my best friend with me just being like on his, I'm in his second tier circle where I get a call once a month. But look, I'm looking right now. I'm talking to you. Obviously, you're a sponsor of the show, Razor IT Solutions. I see that Mr. Jim Hartman has checked in, and Jim Hartman has checked in. But I can't emphasize enough how much our show benefits from local people, local family-owned businesses that look out for each other. And it's not lost on me that Alan Miller constantly is giving back
without any fanfare and absolutely doesn't like the fanfare.
And by the way, JP, not at all related to this conversation, but along the same lines of, I guess, just in this case, it's just dumb luck. Yesterday afternoon, a friend of all of ours decided at 4:00 in the afternoon to stop and buy a raffle ticket for the CCA boat. And I'll be danged if Clint Ives won that boat. And Dawn said,
the Wade and Carter influence. He bought the tickets because of us.
Dawn said you should have stopped and bought another ticket. I said, why? Ives won. Why would I stop? I didn't win. But Clint is now the proud owner of that new Haney cat, and good for him. But you know what, JP, I appreciate
just the guy who needs another boat.
Right, he's got a boat. Yeah. Now he's got a dilemma. Does he sell the one? I told him, I said, if it was me, I'd like that Haney to have a 200 on it instead of the 150 that came with it. But I said, sell your other boat, upgrade the motor on this one, and then call.
And he'll have the money to pay the taxes on the boat you just won.
Yeah, he was complaining about having to pay the taxes on the boat he won. I said, it's going to cost you about $3,500. You got a $50,000 boat at 6 1/4.
50.
He goes, I'm going to have to take out a note.
Yeah, that's exactly
right. It's exactly. Now, well, do you have anything else to impart? Do you have any Astros comments? How are you feeling about your 36 game over and under? Yeah, they're like 1-7 on this road trip. They're one for California. I have
now we haven't. We're getting there.
I have a good rant or a good tidbit about that. It's not as bad as you think. Adam Sheard says, all of y'all sponsors are amazing local philanthropists like the Hartmans, the Shears, Arterberries, and the Millers. The Shears aren't sponsors, Adam. They should be. They should be. They get credit like for being a sponsor without being a sponsor. Wait, we love you, brother. I'll call you after the show.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
So let me give you Texans fans. I hope Steve Kidder's in because I'm going to tell you the difference between a good team and a great team.
This was very insightful and on point.
No, you're giving me credit for that.
I am giving you credit.
The Texans are a very good football team, but the telltale in the middle of the game.
Love you,
Brina. In the middle of the game, what you learn is this: the Texans get the ball, they're down 14-7 with a little over a minute to play in the game. There's an ideal situation is the Texans go and score a touchdown. Now we're tied at the half. An acceptable situation is the Texans go down, kick a field goal, and go to the half with momentum, only trailing by 4. The only
at worst, you miss it and you're only down 7.
Right. Or you run the clock out. The only unacceptable result is that you give up the ball with enough time left for Mahomes to go down and score. You can't You can't. You absolutely cannot
Did that
allow
happen?
them. Of course. They go down, they miss a field goal, 51-yarder. Mahomes throws 3 passes in 20 seconds. And instead of scoring a touchdown, they made one shot to the end zone, but it was covered. Oh, well, we'll just settle for a field goal. Boom. Now it's 17-7 at the half. And Kansas City got the ball to start the second half. And they scored a touchdown. Now you're down 24-7, and it's game over. 4 minutes into the second half. Only because you didn't manage the clock. You didn't find a way to do the only thing you can't do in the NFL is give them a score at the end of the half. It's bad coaching, it's bad defense,
Bad
bad
time
execution, bad time management, and it's what made them a loser. Now, here's the fact. Deshaun Watson, 20 of 32 for 253 yards, a touchdown, and that interception.
Which I think at one point made it. They scored a touchdown on the end of that interception, made it 31-7. So yeah, I don't fault them at that point.
But
Probably the lone bright spot for the Texans yesterday was Deshaun Watson.
Patrick Mahomes, what does he do? He goes 24 of 32. That's 75% versus Watson 62.25, 62.5.
62.5 ain't bad.
But it's the difference between good and great.
Remember when we used to praise quarterbacks like Montana for completing 65% of his passes? Now that's a bad night.
24 of 32 with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions.
And only 211 yards because he took what the Texans defense gave him all night long. Here is a quarterback that is so mature professionally beyond his age.
Oh, yeah. 24 years old, folks. Because the Juan Soto of football.
There are a lot of quarterbacks who will not stay patient enough to continue to throw the 12-yard pass, the 8-yard pass, the 5-yard pass that you've been given.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And then he just threw it underneath and between the linemen and the linebackers and let guys like Sammy Watkins run amok. Here's the problem.
Edwards-Helaire got looked pretty good for a freshman, for a rookie, 5.5 yards on average.
Couple of quick hits. It doesn't mean anything to me, but this is the level to which NFL statisticians have now gone. Patrick Mahomes sets a mark. He becomes the first quarterback ever to have 3 consecutive season opening games with 3 TD passes. Now,
and no interceptions.
And no interceptions. So the first ever, the 18-19-20 season, 3-3-3 in the first game with no interceptions. Now, to me, that's minutia at the lowest possible level. That's like we outrushed them at night on turf after a rain delay on a Thursday. That kind of, it's like Aggie stats.
The game was stopped with lightning 10 minutes into the first quarter.
Yeah, I can remember the Aggies would get beat 54-20, and they go, but we outrushed them in the third quarter. Okay, what does that matter?
Well, I forgot to mention their third-team defense was in.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about that stat, though, and it does sort of show you some things, because I bet you there's only a handful of quarterbacks in today's NFL in the last 15 years that might have played 3 consecutive season openers, either for their team or another team.
It's a solid point. Most NFL quarterbacks, I bet the average on NFL quarterbacks is 6 seasons.
Yeah, if that.
Let me throw one.
And then you go back further to when quarterbacks basically stayed with the team their entire career. If they threw 3 touchdown passes in a game one time in the year, that was big news because they weren't throwing the ball 30, 40, 50 times. Yeah, maybe Fouts, maybe Warren Moon.
What a steel gray Pittsburgh morning.
But Fouts always had an interception to go with his 5 touchdowns.
Absolutely. But, I mean, Air Coryell, remember he used to throw it. I mean, Fouts threw it like 60 times a game.
God, he was a good
It wasn't the run and shoot. It was just the shoot because Dan wasn't mobile. No. I mean, he made Bernie Kosar look like a scrambler.
It was the West Coast offense before Bill Walsh got all the credit for it.
All right, let's see who this is. Good morning. We're on a roll. Don't slow us down. We're good.
Good morning, Terry. How are you?
Oh, Coach. What's up, Skipper? How are you, sir? Fantastic. Hey, folks, this is Terry Poole. Awesome.
Terry, let us pause for our next break, and then we'll bring you in, and then we'll talk some baseball.
Cool. Hey, today's a great day to get to Veracruz.
Last day to get to Veracruz of the week. I got there last night.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Did they recognize you?
Yes, saw Lee. I talked to Lee. Saw Ida. She was busy waiting tables and
She's still short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how they got their setup. Lee was taking the money. Ida was doing the work.
There's going to be money involved. Veracruz is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was really good.
Get in, eat, get out. 576-6015. Get
Cheryl,
you a cash
Cheryl
flow.
had never eaten their Carnegie soda. She raved about it. And the tortillas were fresh. I had their steak ranchero, and it was
Oh, that's good, right?
It is
Love
really
spicy.
good. Yep.
Awesome. We used her to talk to JP Hull, Razor IT Solutions. JP will help you with your analytics, collecting money on the internet, your internet presence, your Facebook page, building a brand, promoting a candidate, whatever you need done, whatever you can imagine the internet doing, JP Hull's done it. Reach out to JP and the folks at Razor IT Solutions today. Since 1926, Ads and Offer, Victoria's dealership, Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi, all the pre-owned vehicles, paint and body shop.
There's an Adson offer ad on the table we were sitting at last night, and it showed an old Chevrolet from like 26. Boy, cars have come a long
They
way.
have. That car didn't have anti-lock brakes. Everything does now. Reach out to Ads and
The car
Offer.
might have still had a handbrake. I couldn't quite see all the options.
Got to slow it down because we know she's listening. 550-1826. That's the number to dial for white trash services. You need a roll-off dumpster at a job site. You need weekly trash service out in the county, in the 6-county region, including Rockport and Holiday Beach. The great folks at White Trash Services, Scott and BJ Nelson, have built a business that started out on a yellow pad with 3 trucks, and I think 2 of them ran. Now, booming. Business is great. Y'all are some trashy people. They're here to help. 550-1826, White Trash Services.
Got to give a shout out to BJ Nelson for spearheading our voter registration event yesterday.
She's a registrar.
A dozen people stopped by, which I've never been involved in one of these, so I didn't really know what to expect. But hey, we got a dozen people registered to vote. I thought that was pretty good. I know in talking to some of them, they've never voted at all. About half of them were in that category. I think others maybe just had lapsed, moved into the county. I'm not sure, but man,
It was a good time. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Good. Hey, let's talk baseball, Triple.
morning, Terry.
How are you, sir?
Good.
I think about you rarely, honestly. I think about you often when you and I are so close. No, the Dodgers have been on a roll lately, and I keep thinking Terry Poole would break their hearts. Terry Poole would just break their hearts and point at them. You were such a gentleman. You guys all had class back then. Of course, you had to bat off Bob Gibson, so I don't blame you. They right.
You can't put one in somebody's ribs anymore without paying the price, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched a forum one time, and it was Hank Aaron. There was Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and somebody else were on like Tony Gwynn, another great hitter, was on the dais, and Bob Gibson was in the seats, and Bob Costas was doing the deal, and he asked Willie Mays, what was it like to face Bob Gibson? And Mays said, well, I came up once. And he said, I did my normal routine, and I kind of dug in, and I got ready to hit. And I looked at Bob like, I'm ready. And he said, Gibby threw one behind his head at about 140 miles an hour. And he said, the umpire just, ball one. And he said, I stepped out of the box, and he goes, I made eye contact with Gibson again. He goes, I pushed all the dirt back into the batter's box, and I smoothed it all out with my foot. He goes, and I just stepped back in very lightly, and I put my bat on my shoulder, and I nodded at him. and he threw his fastball right down the middle for a strike, and we had a 1-1 count. And he goes, and then we went back to work. He said, I acknowledged that he could kill me. And Gibson's out there going, I remember that at bat. I heard stories of Bob Gibson. A kid got a hit, a rookie got a hit and kind of made was kind of proud of himself on first base. And that Gibson went over to first base and said, you'll never forget the day you got a hit off me. He goes, I won't remember you after this inning. Gibson was mean. Love it. Did Nolan Ryan ever get you hit? Did he? Because Nolan was a guy that would throw inside. It helps to be in right field. It helps to be way out by the bully when that happens. You're like, get him, Nolan, because by the time you pro trot into the infield, the fight's over. You're a Canadian. You're way too good looking to be in there fighting. Right. Right, you're like, where's Glenn Davis when I need him? Hey, you got Bob Watley says J.R. Richard was quite intimidating. I love the story of Terry Poole getting beamed after J.R. hit a home run. Or
I don't know what I've heard this one.
right. Oh, man. I was thinking about being Ken Brett. That's got to be a lot like being Billy Ripken. You play in the big leagues, you have a career, you're probably set for life financially, and you're George Brett's brother. Can you give me an autograph? Yeah.
It's like being Patrick McEnroe in tennis.
Give us a memory. Did you compete against Lou Brock? Was he too old for you? Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, one of Ash's, it has to be one of Ash's favorites. You look at a kid like Timmy Raines, you look at Ricky Henderson, but long before them, I say like Lou Brock was to those guys as say Dr. J was to Magic and Bird. I mean, Lou Brock was the standard in base swiping long before Henderson and those guys chased his record.
Yeah.
You were on pace. Oh yeah. It's always that you know it's bad when they're talking about you. And in right, hobbled by injuries. Terry Cool, still out there. Nagging injuries are expensive. You look at the Astros being 1-7 on this road trip to California, the Yankees 5-15 over their last 20. And you have to wonder, I've never seen it more glaring that Bregman is absolutely the straw that stirs the drink for the Houston Astros. When you watch, they were like 14-10 before his injury, and then they go like, they've just been in the toilet ever since he sat. Right.
Yeah. And the interesting thing in this season, I mean, we're into crunch time now in middle of September, but this season has been limited at bats and limited games to make things happen. I mean, a 3-game winning streak or losing streak has a huge significance in a shortened season like this. How much influence do you think it had that they started spring training, had to shut everything down, then kind of rush to get back? Because it's not just the Astros that have been besieged by injuries. The Yankees have had a bunch. I mean, there's been a bunch of injuries across Major League Baseball that have plagued every team.
So
Yeah, no.
But Terry, how much of this is what would you call it? Symbolic or a reality of this? I'm going to put you on the controversial seat here of the softer professional athlete. Earlier you mentioned J.R. Richard pitching, batting in the 8th inning. I was going to say, well, clearly y'all were probably beating them, and his home run probably really upset the Braves. Not necessarily.
Every home run upset the Braves back then because they weren't that good.
But the bigger point is J.R. Richard could have been losing 5-4 and was still pitching because it was his day to start, and he pitched. Now you got these guys now. 70% of Major League Baseball pitchers go 5 innings or less, and I think the pro athlete is soft now. They're so fine-tuned and wired that they're more prone to injury. Right. Like a shame until Dave Scott could come in.
Yeah, soft might not be the right word. Specialized is probably the right word.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I was driving south on 59 when Scott, what he pitching? Did he have a no-hitter? Y'all won a game to clinch. And it was a day game. Yeah. I'm driving down 59 and the people's lights were flashing and everybody was listening to the game. So great stuff. We
gotta take our final break, and then we'll come right back to you, Terry.
If you've got time, we'd love to just keep chatting with you.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
Tell you what, you can stop by Uncle Mutt's Barbecue and get the best iced tea in town. No doubt about it.
Drive-throughs open 7 days a week. They open around 11-ish. Brisket, ribs, turkey, sausage, chicken.
Good.
I can't remember who it was yesterday. I think it was Jeff Fonseca says the turkey's the best.
Yeah, and I've had other people say, well, I haven't had the turkey. You owe it to yourself. It's not dry white meat. It is good, moist turkey. Great Barn Design, 920-6803.
Give Cheryl a call for all your event design needs. She will take care of them all from start to finish. She'll sit down and see what your vision is, and then make your vision become a reality so you can enjoy your event as it was intended to do.
Totally different vibe to walk into a wedding reception that you can actually attend as opposed to one that you're like, oh, wait a minute, the trestle's going to fall, the trellis is going to fall over. That's Cheryl's job. She'll take care of it.
The trestle falls, you're on a bridge and you're in trouble.
It was an outdoor wedding. Went services, went electric, went generators, went plumbing.
Went electric? Did you say that?
Yeah, reach out. You need a generator. You do need a generator if you don't have one. They also do solar panels, battery backups, all kinds of. What did Carl say yesterday? He had added something else to it.
Yeah, but I don't remember now.
We'll get back to it. He'll tell us.
But all sorts of we didn't see it was so memorable.
Oh, solar electric car charging.
Oh, that's right, charging stations.
Got a Tesla, he's your guy. USA Concrete Coatings.
2 issues in the Atlantic we got to keep an eye on. I think there's one in the Gulf, one that's on the other side of Florida that's going to come into the Gulf. A couple of low pressure
It is still
systems.
storm season well into October, so we have to watch out for that. USA Concrete Coatings, polyurethane coatings, antimicrobial, antibacterial.
Won't chip, won't crack, won't peel.
Great for your garage floor, patio, front porch, whatever you need. A room. You got a kid that dropped. You don't want to worry about carpet, but you want the room to be bright. Put down some flakes on this coating, and your kid can't tear it up.
Way stronger than any epoxy that you could put down, and they'll get it done in one day.
Perfect. All right, so good. Let's back to baseball.
All right. We're joined by former Astros outfielder Terry Poole, current UHV Jaguars head coach. And thanks for taking time out of your day, Terry, and getting out of bed early to join us.
He's on Newfoundland time.
That's right. I forgot.
We don't.
We've had listeners from there. That's the only reason it becomes relevant.
Yeah, we've now had listeners in every province in Canada. We're very proud of that. Thanks, Terry. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I do. I've got relatives all over Canada.
I thought maybe, Terry, you would take the tact of, that's cool. They must really want to hear what a Texan sounds like. They want to hear what somebody from Texas has to say. Thanks for your support. No, we did, and so glad. Yes, please.
And that's old Riverfront, wasn't it?
Right, had a boy. Then Craig came and played with you, didn't he? That's awesome. Nice. Right at your chin. Did you know at that time? I mean, when you look back, and I think it was it was probably even a bigger honor then than it is today. A lot of these things are awards of longevity, it seems like now. But when you went up there, did you go, I'm batting against a first ballot Hall of Famer? This is Tom frickin' Seaver. I mean, I know you can't compete that way. I know you weren't intimidated, but did you just know, did you have that sense of the moment that this is the guy? Clearly, He clearly, Mr. Seaver, he wanted you to let that pitch go by. He didn't want you to go ahead and pound that into the right field bleachers. He's like, look, kid, it's cold. I'm old. Give me an inning to get warmed up. We'll deal in the third. Don't do it now. Well, I look back and I remember as a young kid watching Tom Seaver really was the first that made it so obvious of the leg drive, dragging that right knee. Of course, the mound was taller, and it made it more likely to drag your knee on the dirt. But you don't see that out of anybody anymore. I mean,
I look back at that Mets team, and had they been able to keep that pitching staff together, I mean, of all the guys that went through there, they kept Jerry Koosman, who, when you look at his numbers,
pedestrian.
I mean, here's a guy who won 15 or 16 games with a Mets team that wouldn't win 70. I mean, okay. Wobbly pops.
It's awesome. A true champion. Ash and I were talking earlier about Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole left, and when he left last year, we agreed on the idea that he was going to miss Strom. He was going to miss his pitching coach here, and I even threw out there that he might get tired of pitching in the constant microscope, under the microscope in New York. This guy's 4-3 with a 3.7, and he's got 70 strikeouts in 52 innings, which is amazingly like 30% below his career average. And he's given up 13 dingers in 52 innings. They're translating that over a season that he'd be giving up 52 home runs in a regular 200-something inning year, which would be only Burt Blyleven in like 76 or 86 gave up 50 home runs ever. And he's on a torrid pace of mediocrity that makes me almost glad that he's not here. Yes, sir. Hey, our buddy Jeff Fonseca says, hey, I've had many very good rounds of golf, not knowing where I was. That's the funny thing about that aiming fluid. It also works on the pool table. You start out a little tight, you get a little aiming fluid, you're playing pretty good. That peaks on the back nine after about that 10th beer. You kind of struggle to get it to the house.
I want to point something out because Terry was pretty humble, but I came across a blog the other day that pays tribute to Terry. And in his career, he went 20 for 45 against Tom Seaver. That's a 444 clip against the Hall of Famer. That's not too bad. That's the highest batting average ever of any player who had at least 20 at-bats against Tom Seaver.
Our friend, the humble Terry Poole, that is the Terry Poole in my own words blog. Not really. 20 for 45. Wow.
It's two tidbits about Terry Poole blog on CoopersTownersInCanada.com if you ever want to check it out.
Coach, was there anybody out there that, I mean, humility aside, was there anybody out there that the world thought of as great that you were like, I just can't wait to bat off that guy. I own him.
He was a good pitcher.
Right. Next time up, he hits you in the hip. You know?
This blog also points out you had the most hits off Rick Ruschel.
Yeah.
20 hits in your career off of him, and you also fared well against Phil Niekro and Don Sutton as well.
I remember that little whippy fastball slider thing. I remember that thing. It was like 82 miles an hour and it tailed a little bit. And you're like, what is that? Like, thanks for that.
Yes.
Yes. Dale. But you know, throwing that pitch and Niekro's demeanor, I mean, it looked like old man River on the mound. He looked like he was about 80 years old, flinging that knuckle, Nuxie. Unbelievable. Some shrapnel. Well, it's awesome. The people that were peers of yours are heroes of ours, and as are you, sir. I love to have a lot of fun with you. And folks, Terry Poole is as nice and approachable a guy. He's got a million stories, and they're all true. It makes it so interesting to talk baseball. So we had an agenda, some things we were going to talk about today, and I'm glad we just threw it away for the opportunity to visit with you, Coach. And anytime that you've got time to spend with us, our listeners love it. The stories are amazing, and it's funny to me. In my mind, I watched you play when I was a kid, and in reality, we're peers. Yeah, we're like the same age. Me and Terry, I'm like, I wouldn't fight him now. Terry Poole and I are the same age, and it's awesome to have you in, and I mean that. So we wish you nothing but the best with the Jags. I think any kid not only could learn a huge amount of baseball, but would never be around a better adult influence than to be under your tutelage at UHV. And I wish you nothing but the best, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt
Well,
about it.
and we appreciate you providing that refuge for us this morning.
Yeah. Hey. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Have a great
Good.
day, and let's
Thanks,
get
Terry.
together when you're in town, sir. Be well.
Thanks, Terry.
Bye, buddy. That's awesome, folks. I mean, I'm sorry. I could listen. I'd ask him, what about this guy? What about that guy? And he doesn't know of them. He knows them. When you hear him say Phil Niekro, what a great guy. I mean, played against him.
That's the one thing I'm going to miss about this year's Bluebonnet. Everything that goes along with that, but the golf tournament and you play with the former pro athletes and the stories they tell
Oh yeah.
are just, I mean, it's just a phenomenal experience listening to them relive some of those stories and those times. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Terry taking the time out of his morning to join us this morning.
Great stuff, folks. We're out of time. Ralph, the Hall of Famer Salazar, is here, and he'll be coming in to talk.
I think a great way to spring into the weekend this weekend was that conversation. It really was an escape from everything going on in the world.
Yep. We love you, folks.
Johnny Houghton did point something out.
A very well-made point.
About Newfoundland. He said everybody needs to know should know where Newfoundland is after 9/11. The role they played when all those airliners were no longer allowed to land on the East Coast. They all were diverted to Gander, Newfoundland, and landed.
And the folks in Newfoundland took them in.
They have no hotels
Right.
in Newfoundland that could accommodate that. They went into people's homes and were there for days.
Well, because you try to book a hotel there, I'll be there at 6. Wait, 7:30. What is that? When do you get there? You don't know. It's Newfoundland time,
There are no hotels.
right?
Not for that. Not for those.
Not
Not
for
for
that
that amount of people. Yeah.
Hey,
So,
Fonseca says Niekro looked like a church league picture. That's true. You keep thinking he's going to throw it underhand.
I would if you put a baseball cap on George Jones, they're the same guy.
Niekro. Yep. Hey, folks, have a great weekend. Be safe out there. If you get in trouble, call 578-6300. Let Allen's Record Service.
Unless you have to call
know.
911.
Right. Y'all be well.
We'll see you on Monday. Bye, folks.
That's awesome. You know what the deal is?
It didn't freeze up this morning, Ralph. You're good.
Hey, he's such a class guy that you don't mind him coming off as a hero worshiper. In general, we don't get, I know you, I mean, he works for you, but we don't get